Next up, AECI is a South African-based explosives and specialty chemicals group, mostly servicing the mining and manufacturing sectors. The company has a market cap of 12.9 billion rand, a PE of 11.65, and a dividend yield of 4%. So these guys very geared towards the South African mining sector. I think it's about 9 billion rand of their revenue. And you know, mining in South Africa or throughout the continent actually hasn't been great.
No, it hasn't been good since since about 2010, 2011, been a very big downturn. But obviously, since the start of 2016, massive turnaround. Mining companies specifically, well, all mining companies and the South African mining companies are generating seriously positive cash flow now. The cycle, I wouldn't say the mining cycle has turned because there's no massive external demand surge, because that's what would normally define a true turn in the cycle, a true upcycle. But what has turned is the unsustainably low prices of commodities from 2 years ago. So now, depending on how you measure it, you could say they are in a fair price range. They don't look massively extended yet, but they are quite clearly off their lows. Now that's very, very positive medium term for AECI. I don't think the mining companies are going to spend the capex yet. They're repairing their balance sheet, and of course the shareholders are crying for some sort of return.
But remember now, these guys are slightly more defensive than the actual miners, because regardless of the share price, they still need a blast.
They still need to do something.
Pull the volumes. Sometimes, you know, the prices are at a level where if they push the volumes, they're still making good money. So even if when the price goes down, they're
not nearly as cyclical, but you know, to get true expansion in output, in volume growth, you need the capex spent by the miners at some stage, and they're not spending that yet. They probably will once again sort of spend a lot of capex when the market's looking good, and then that capex unfortunately comes on stream and the market starting to fall already. But for the next 2 or 3 years, I cannot see massive volume growth out of the mining industry, but clearly margins are improved and it's looking a lot better.
But they have diversified. They've gone into water processing, which is obviously quite a lucrative niche type area. Food services. They've got a specialized chemical division. So what's the other side of their business looking like outside of mining?
The other side of the business, I suppose, is there's a lot of quite stable businesses in there, but ultimately, I suppose they're geared to the South African economy, and that's a difficult one. Although admittedly, the worst is probably behind us on our local economy now. The outlook's not particularly great, but the worst is at least behind us.
I agree with you there. Hot or not on AECI?
And the P is low enough, but I would go not hot. I would be a bit cautious.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think it's going to be tough going for a few years ahead.